Have you ever wondered what ignited the long-standing conflict between India and Pakistan? Let me take you back to the year of 1947, a year that marked the end of British colonial rule in the Indian subcontinent. This was the year when the map of South Asia was redrawn, birthing two new independent dominions, India and Pakistan. The partition was carried out along religious lines. A line of division was etched, carving out a new nation, Pakistan, intended to be a homeland for Muslims. India, on the other hand, was to accommodate the Hindu majority, though it adopted a secular constitution. This division was a decision steeped in controversy and debate, a decision that still reverberates in the geopolitics of the region. The partition was not peaceful. It was followed by a horrifying outbreak of communal violence. Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs, once cohabiting regions, turned against each other in a frenzy of communal hatred. The streets were painted with blood, houses razed, and the air resonated with cries of despair. It was a time of chaos and lawlessness, a time that witnessed humanity at its worst. The division did not only split the land, but also the people. Nearly 15 million people found themselves on the wrong side of the newly drawn border. In one of the largest mass migrations in human history, these individuals were forced to leave their ancestral homes, crossing over to what they hoped would be a safer side. The journey was perilous, many lost their lives, and those who survived carried with them scars of the horrors they had witnessed. The partition of 1947 was a catastrophic event that sowed the seeds of discord between India and Pakistan. The scars of partition are etched deep in the collective memory of the people, feeding into the national narratives of both countries and shaping their foreign policies. The birth of these two nations was marked with blood and displacement, setting the stage for a complex relationship. The flames of conflict spread quickly to the breathtaking valleys of Kashmir. As the year 1947 faded into 1948, the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir became a battlefield. The instigator, a dispute over its accession between newly independent India and Pakistan. The Maharaja of Kashmir, Hari Singh, was caught in the eye of the storm, his decision to accede to India lighting the fuse of the First Kashmir War. The conflict was fierce and unforgiving, as both nations sought to stake their claim. The international community watched with bated breath as the United Nations stepped in, intervening to prevent further escalation. It was a delicate dance of diplomacy that finally led to a ceasefire agreement in 1949. The end of the war saw Kashmir divided and a ceasefire line established, but the embers of conflict continued to smolder. This was not a resolution, but merely the pause before the next chapter in the tumultuous saga of India and Pakistan. The conflict, far from settling down, only escalated in the following decades. The mid-60s saw the heat of the India-Pakistan rivalry intensify, leading to the Second Indo-Pak War in 1965. This conflict was, once again, primarily over the disputed territory of Kashmir. Unlike the First War, which ended in a ceasefire, this one concluded with the Tashkent Agreement, brokered by the Soviet Union. The outcome? Both nations agreed to withdraw troops and restore the pre-war status quo. But the underlying issue, the Kashmir dispute, still remained unresolved. However, the 1965 war marked a shift in the dynamics of the conflict. It demonstrated the international community's interest in this regional dispute and their willingness to intervene to prevent further escalation. Fast forward to 1971, the stage was set for the Third Indo-Pak War. This conflict was different, as it was not about Kashmir, but about East Pakistan's struggle for independence. The political and economic disparity between West and East Pakistan had reached a boiling point. India, siding with the East Pakistanis, provided them with moral and material support. This war was swift and brutal, lasting for only 13 days, but its impact was far-reaching. It led to the creation of a new nation on the world map, Bangladesh. The war ended with the signing of the Shimla Agreement, which aimed to normalize relations between the two countries and to settle all disputes through peaceful means. Yet the ink on the agreement barely dried, before tensions started brewing again. These wars further strained the relationship between India and Pakistan, deepening the divide. They not only reshaped the geopolitical landscape, but also left an indelible mark on the collective psyche of both nations. The wounds of these wars are yet to heal, and their echoes can still be heard in the frosty relations between India and Pakistan today. As the 20th century drew to a close, the conflict took a dangerous turn. A new chapter in the India-Pakistan rivalry was etched into history as both nations, by the late 20th century, had joined the exclusive club of nuclear powers. India's nuclear journey began with a peaceful nuclear explosion in 1974, but it was in 1998 that India conducted a series of nuclear tests, declaring itself a nuclear weapons state. Pakistan followed suit just a few weeks later, testing its own nuclear weapons, and in doing so, escalating the arms race in South Asia. This development added a chilling new dimension to their rivalry. The stakes had never been higher. The threat of nuclear warfare loomed large. The world watched in trepidation as two enemies, each armed with a destructive force of unparalleled scale, continued their decades-old dispute. In 1999, just a year after the nuclear tests, the world's fears were realized when the Kargil War broke out, a covert operation by Pakistan to infiltrate Indian-controlled territory in the Kargil district of Kashmir sparked a full-blown conflict. The Kargil War was unique and terrifying in its own right. It was fought in the icy heights of the Himalayas, in one of the most inhospitable terrains in the world. It was the first direct ground war between India and Pakistan since they had declared themselves nuclear powers. The world held its breath as the war raged on, fearful of the potential for nuclear escalation. The war ended with India regaining control of Kargil, but not without significant loss on both sides. The implications were far-reaching. The international community, previously distant observers, were now forced to take note of the simmering conflict in South Asia. The Kargil War underscored the nuclear threat and brought the India-Pakistan conflict to the global stage. The Kargil War, fought in the icy heights, brought the conflict to the global stage and underlined the nuclear threat. The specter of nuclear warfare continues to hang over the India-Pakistan rivalry, a grim reminder of the potential consequences of their deep-seated enmity. In the new millennium, the India-Pakistan conflict continues to shape South Asian geopolitics. As we step into the 21st century, the echoes of a tumultuous past continue to reverberate, manifesting in continuous border skirmishes and diplomatic tensions. The early years of the new century were marked by a period of relative calm, but this was shattered by the infamous Mumbai attacks of 2008. Carried out by militants from Pakistan, this horrific event claimed the lives of over 160 people and left a deep scar on the psyche of both nations. The attacks ignited a firestorm of anger and condemnation, leading to a significant escalation in tensions and a freeze in diplomatic relations. Fast forward to 2019, and we see the grim specter of conflict rearing its head once more. The Pulwama attack, a suicide bombing in the Indian-administered region of Jammu and Kashmir, claimed the lives of 40 Indian security personnel. Once again, a militant group based in Pakistan was implicated, leading to a sharp escalation in hostilities. This incident marked a new low in the relations between the two countries and brought them perilously close to war. In between these major incidents, the scenario has been marked by frequent skirmishes along the border, particularly in the disputed region of Kashmir. These clashes have resulted in numerous casualties on both sides and have perpetuated a cycle of violence and mistrust. Diplomatic efforts have been made to diffuse tensions, but they have often been overshadowed by these violent incidents. Attempts at dialogue have been punctuated by periods of silence and mutual recriminations. The specter of nuclear war, a chilling prospect, has only added to the urgency of resolving this conflict. Despite these developments, the India-Pakistan conflict remains a complex and deeply entrenched issue. It is a conflict that has its roots in history, but continues to shape the present and, potentially, the future of South Asia. Despite efforts at peace, the India-Pakistan conflict remains unresolved, a grim reminder of a violent past. The India-Pakistan conflict is not just a series of wars and political disagreements. It's a tangled web of history, politics, and emotions that has spanned over 7 decades. We have traced the roots of the conflict back to the partition of India and Pakistan in the mid-20th century. We've navigated through the bloody battles of the First Kashmir War, the wars of 1965 and 1971, and the high-stakes tension of the Kargil War. We've explored the chilling dimension of nuclear power that has added a new layer of complexity to this enduring rivalry. The recent developments, while hopeful, are yet another chapter in this ongoing narrative. The relationship between India and Pakistan is a dynamic one, constantly evolving with the changing global political landscape. It is a complex tale of rivalry and strained relations, a testament to the human capacity for both division and resilience.